Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our session on how to achieve more in a hybrid work world with customizable Google Workspace AI automations. My name is Lauren, and I'm the content manager for the Google Cloud community team. And joining me today is Donato Melli, and he is our solutions engineer at Google Cloud, and he'll be taking us through the content today and answering your questions live. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add those into the YouTube chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them either in the chat or live at the end of the presentation. And if you can, please tell us where you're joining us from. I see we have some folks from the UK, from Canada. So we'd love to see where you're joining and tuning in from. And again, feel free to ask your questions there. For any questions we don't get to today, if we run out of time, we'll be sharing a recap post in the Google Workspace community where you can access the recording again, the written questions and answers, and supporting resources from today's session. So with that, I know we have a lot of great stuff to cover today. So Donato, I will let you take it from here.
Thank you, Lauren, and hi, everybody. My name is Donato Meli. I'm a program solution engineer with Google Workspace. So let's get quickly through the agenda for today. So we're going to go quickly through an introduction just to set the stage for the live demo that will follow. And then we will have some space for a Q&A session. And at the end, we'll share some resources that might be useful based on the topic that we are going to cover today. So in terms of introduction, so today we are going to do something that we like to call the art of the impossible session with Google Workspace. So we like to call it that way because we will show how Google and AI can actually automate tasks in a way that might sound hard to believe sometimes. So in the demo today, we're going to cover the following things. We're going to see how AI can be integrated within Google Workspace to help your users in their daily activities. And we'll see how bringing AI into the tools that users use every day can strongly improve productivity and save precious time for them. We'll also see examples of different types of AIs because Google has a very rich set of AI. So some of them come with out-of-the-box solutions. So they are plug and play. Others need some customizations and can be tailored to your specific use case. We're going to see different examples of both types. We're going to also see how chatbots can simplify the search for information for your users who often spend a lot of time finding the right information in their environment. So in order to do all this, today I'm going to tell you the story of Greg. Greg is an account manager working for an insurance company called Impossible Insurance. And these are Greg's main challenges at work. So there are many things that hit his mailbox and he needs to prioritize, and prioritizing is tough. So, but while it's a complicated activity, prioritizing correctly is a key for success. It can make a big difference on the outcome of one's activities. Every time a customer asks a question, Greg needs to jump from tool to tool, UI, from a UI to another UI, from a person to another person to find the right answer. So, and this is extremely time consuming. And working in a highly regulated industry, Greg needs to follow internal policies and that needs to stay compliant. And this typically adds a lot of overheads on his activities. So today we'll see how Greg went on paternity leave and he came back after a few months just to discover that his company went Google. So started adopting Google Workspace. And he received his change management plan that was quite light. So now, of course, full disclosure, we strongly suggest a very rich change management plan. But in this case, Greg was not that lucky. So we will see today how Google and AI will help Greg by automating some of these tasks that would make his interactions with customers and internal colleagues way more easy and productive. So enough with the slides. Let's jump to the live demo. So Greg comes back from paternity leave and finds his mailbox full of unread emails. So he needs to understand where to start from. In a normal situation, he would typically invest the first day coming back just to read through all his mailbox to understand what was going on before to choose what to prioritizing his time on. But this is a new environment, so he doesn't really know exactly how to move his first steps around it. So his boss told him, if you have any question, please ask Agent T. So Agent T is a chatbot that was delivered by the company in order to help users with their activities. So the first question that Greg has for Agent T is, okay, how do I prioritize my inbox? So Agent T is a chatbot that looks for answers based on a set of FAQs or potential tasks that are identified. So in this case, Agent T is proposing Greg a deck that might be a good fit for his question. So Greg opens the suggested item and sees that the company suggests him to use an add-on that was deployed within his organization in order to prioritize his activities. So Greg decides to give that a shot. So he identifies the add-on that was delivered by his company, and he sees there is an interesting option, which is identify angry customers. So that sounds definitely the right place to start. So when he clicks on that, Google is basically running a sentiment analysis on all his emails and identifying every email with an upset tone and is marking that clearly with a label. Now, in this specific case, once an email with an upset tone has been identified, the action taken is to mark it for Greg's attention. But other potential options could be to escalate, to create an escalation path for this based on the industry of the company. So in some cases, you might want simply to have all the upset tones emails being eventually forwarded to a supervisor or to a customer success tool team or to a support team. So you can decide what's the best route or the best way in your organization to actually deal with an upset email coming through. In this case, Greg immediately sees that there is an email with an upset tone, and it's a good place to start when you don't know where to start. Angry customers need always attention. So he opens the email and he realizes that there is a customer that was actually waiting for an offer before he left for paternity leave, and he forgot. So now what he has to do is to quickly work an offer to send it over to his customer waiting for this offer. But in order to do that, you will need to find all the documents that the customer sent, and that documentation is buried in his mailbox. So it's not going to be easy to find all the documents that were sent. So at this point, Greg turns again toward Agent T for some help and asking, how can I find the right attachments? So Agent T tries to suggest again some answer for him. So he points Greg toward a deck that explains possible ways to find attachments into your mailbox. So the first route is use the advanced filter of Gmail to find the emails and with more rich criteria in terms of search criteria. Another way, though, is to, again, use the Secret Agents Toolbox. This is the add-on provided by the company. And Greg decides to give that a shot. So he goes back to his mailbox and identifies the add-on, and he sees an option, classify my attachments. So clicking on that, at this point, Google is running an analysis on all the attachments in Greg's unread emails and is trying to classify those attachments. Now, this is not a standard AI model, but this is an AI model that has been trained by the company to recognize the type of documents the company deals with every day. So the company trained a model with some examples of mortgage statement or type of documents that are relevant for them. And this model can then identify them and mark them clearly. So the analysis is complete. So we can see that I have a quick summary of the type of documents that are stored in my attachments in my mailbox. And all the mails with attachments have been clearly marked with a type of document. Now, this has several advantages. First one being that since every document is clearly marked with a label, I can, of course, find in my labels all the mortgage statements I receive via emails, all the identity documents I receive via email. But the other pro is that I can mitigate human mistakes. For example, if I would be waiting for a mortgage statement from my customer Alice, if I would open this email, I can see that Alice sent me an attachment saying, this is my latest bank statement. But the AI says that this is not a bank statement, this is a mortgage statement. And if I open it, the AI is actually right. So basically, Alice made a mistake writing an email, which it happens. That's normal. So, but if I was looking for a mortgage statement, I would probably have skipped this attachment because it was wrongly classified. So having this sort of automation can save a lot of precious time. And on top of that, as I was saying, once a document is classified, you can decide the type of activity that needs to follow. In this specific case, what the automation does on top of applying a label is also to file these attachments into a specific folder. So Greg goes into his own drive, and in his customers files folder, every attachment received by a customer is going to be filed into the right folder. So this means that the next time a new customer writes in with an attachment, a new folder with the email address of the customer is going to be created in here. And under each customer, you will see a folder structure that matches the document classification structure that was created for it. So without doing any manual activity, he has now a way better idea of which documents he receives, and all the documents that have been received are now filed in a very easy, understandable way in his own drive. So at this point, Greg has all the information he needs to prepare the offer for his customer. So now the next move is, okay, let's prepare the actual offer. In his previous life, what he would have done is he would have opened his laptop, looked for the latest offer that he prepared, make a copy of it, and start from there. But this is a brave new world now, so he doesn't know exactly how to move his next steps. So what he does is, again, turns toward Agent T and asking for help. So how do I create an offer? So in this case, Agent T does a different thing than what is done so far. So instead of giving a link toward a procedure, in this case, Agent T recognizes that as a request for a task and creates a copy from a latest and the latest approved offer template and gives that copy to Greg. So Greg can simply take that and start working on the offer. So now everything is ready to go. So Greg can start to work from here, as all the documents that he needs, and he will work on the offer and send it over. In the meantime, he's working on this. A colleague from the administration department asks him for help with an account. So there is an account that apparently hasn't paid the latest invoice, and they're asking Greg to investigate and understand what's going on. Now, this is not a customer that Greg follows directly, but it's a customer that is followed by his friend John, and John right now is on leave. So he needs to step into a customer that doesn't know anything about and try to understand the situation. So in order to do that, he goes into the customer files and finds the customer folder. So here he finds a set of documents that haven't been clearly labeled. So probably his colleague just got a set of documents out of a scanner and uploaded in a folder. So they are not clearly classified. They are not. The situation is not clearly understandable from there. So again, he finds that the secret agent toolbox can help him out, because selecting a folder, he can ask the tool to analyze the folder for him. So clicking on this, basically what is going to happen in the background is that the AI will read through all these documents, classify them, identify which type of documents they are, and is gonna classify them into a right folder structure. So even somebody who doesn't know exactly what those documents are is gonna have a more clear understanding of the content of the folder. And you can see on the left here, there are some subfolders already getting created as long as a new document has been identified and classified. So this is gonna make Greg's life way easier. So the process is over. So Greg opens the folder and finds the folder now is magically already all cleaned up and organized. So way easier. It's way easier to understand what we're talking about. So you can find all the ID documents in the folder, and yep, that checks out. That's an ID document. So he will find here also a sheet with a list of all the documents that were analyzed and the concept and the classification applied to that. And so he finds a folder with all the invoices that were sent to that customer. On the right, he sees that the secret agent's toolbox is again proposing something. So since this is an invoice folder, the toolbox is proposing that he can analyze the content of the invoices for Greg. And he definitely likes that. So he's gonna try to let AI analyze the content of the invoices for him. So what is happening now in the background is that the AI is reading through those PDFs that are have been identified as invoices, and using an out-of-the-box AI. So this is an AI that Google has already trained and is already available as is. The AI is able to read through those invoices and extract the business information without any further configuration or training required by the user. So the tool provides a summary of the result of what has been found in the folder. So 3 invoices were identified in the folder, and Greg can see here highlights of the number of invoices created and the total amount invoiced. So he now has a clear understanding of the situation. He knows that 3 invoices were sent. So at this point, what he wants to do is he wants to create a sort of matter document to collect all the information about the situation for his benefit, but also for his colleagues' benefit. So from the colleague from the administration, but also for his colleague who is now on leave. So when he will come back, he will have a better understanding of what happened with his own customer. So he starts working on a matter document, putting together in the same place all the informations about this case. So in order to do that, when he's in a Google Doc, using the @ symbol, he will have access to a set of dynamic content or pre-built blocks. So in this case, some of these building blocks are automatically proposed by Google. Others can be prepared by the company and then shared and made available internally. So in this case, what you want to do is he wants to start from a review tracker to track who are the people actually working on these matters. So he adds himself, Greg, and says, yep, he is reviewing this matter. Then his friend John, his colleague John, who hasn't started yet because he's currently on PTO. Then it wants to collect in the same document all the files and all the invoices that were sent to this customer. So again, simply using the @ symbol, he can start typing the name of the file or the invoice, and he can link the file within a Google Doc. And now this is not a simple URL dropped in a text document, but this is an item that has been recognized as a file, so has additional features around it. So you can clearly see a preview of that, also to be sure that it's the right invoice. You can have additional information popping out, such as the owner, the changes, and some quick action available. So you can mark this document as sent, and then you can do the same thing he has done with files with people. So you can add directly for this specific invoice the person that actually sent the invoice, always using the @ symbol. He has access also to people. So he wants to add a person, say, okay, Donato was the person who actually sent the invoice. And again, in this case, Google Docs recognizes this is not just a text, but this is an actual mention of a person. So it links that to a global address list and provides additional information about that person. Additionally, Google is also cross-checking what I'm doing. It's saying, you're adding here and mentioning a person who does not have access to this document. Is it on purpose? Do you want to share this document with them? So Google tries always to be a step ahead to prevent errors and to be sure that everything is right. Now, at this point, Greg created his review table. He mapped in here all the invoices that were sent to the customer. Now, he also wants to track in the same document all the follow-up activities to show, to define here, this is what happened, and this is what we are going to do to fix the situation. So he starts to prepare here a list of follow-ups. Using always the @ symbol, he can create a checklist in here and starting thinking about what are the next steps. So definitely contact the customer, then check with finance in case maybe the payment was sent but not correctly marked. So as he starts typing these check boxes, you see that Google proposes an action. So Google is asking, is this a task, the one you're adding here? So if it's a task, do you want to create automatically a task linked to this checkbox? So clicking on that, I can transform this simple text into an actionable item. And I want to assign that, for example, to myself. I can add a due date for it. So I can say that it needs to be done by today. And I can assign a task. Once the task is assigned, you see Google will show on the side of the checkbox the picture of the person who is the assignee to this task. And this task is automatically added into the Google Task bucket. So the Google Task is an application that follows me through all my Google environment. So I open it on the side, and I have the list here on my tasks. But it's not just in my document. If I go back to my email, for example, I have the Google Tasks also here, and from everywhere I can see the list of my tasks, the document where this task has originated. So if I read just contact the customer, but I don't remember the context of this task, I can go back into the document where this task was assigned and have a better understanding of why am I supposed to do that. And I can also see that there is a due date here, which is today. Yeah, furthermore, if I open my calendar now, I can see that since I assigned a due date for this activity, I can see that the task is also now automatically added to my calendar. And it's there easily for me to see and take an action on. So at this point, let's assume I see that. I take my phone, I call the customer, so I've done my job, so I mark this as completed. As I do that, a set of things happen in the background. So you can see that my task disappeared from my task list, and it goes down into my completed section. And what happened to my document? So if I open my document back now, I can see that even within the document, this checkbox was marked as complete. So everything is always coherent and related and connected. At this point, after the follow-ups, since in here in this document I'm collecting everything related to this matter, I want to also add a draft of the communication that I will send to my customer, because again, in the same place, I want to connect everything: information, documents, people, communications. So I can do that again using the and asking for an email draft. So creating an email draft from here, I can prepare my email saying payment matter, dear customer, blah, 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 blah. So here I can prepare my communication to my customer. And when I review this matter with my colleagues, I can have in the same place all the information related to that. And once the document is approved, everybody is comfortable with that, I can simply click on this button and send the email to my customer with one click. So Greg, at this point, is pretty satisfied with that and is going to move forward while he receives an interrupt from his boss. So his boss is now asking him that one of his contract needs to be sent to a third party for an audit, so for a quality audit. So in this case, he will need to take a contract that is subject to an audit, and he needs to send it over to a third party. But in the contract, there are personal information, and he needs to redact those before he shares a document with a third party. And this is typically a process that can take a lot of time, because the way you would do it in the past is he needs to read through the whole contract and identify the parts that needs to be redacted, and then do it manually before he shares with somebody else. But also in this case, Google AI can provide some help. So the Secret Agent Toolbox is an option to redact content, which is fantastic for Greg. So he clicks on it, and what is happening right now in the backend is that Google is using the DLP, data loss prevention functionalities, to identify the personal information within a contract and automatically produce a redacted version of it. So I open the redacted file, and I can see that Google automatically redacted the content without any human interaction, and this document is now ready to go. So this concludes our live demo for today. I'm gonna go back to my slide deck and trying to summarize and wrap up what we have seen today. So today we've seen how AI can be embedded into Workspace and can trigger different sort of actions. So it can be customizable, and it can be added in several places where the user actually gets work done every day. We have seen several different types of AIs. So we have seen some out-of-the-box AIs, such as the invoice AI and the document redaction. Those are all AIs that are pre-trained, so ready to use, plug and play, as we could say. And we have seen also some examples of custom models, so the document classifications or the sentiment analysis. Those were all AIs that were trained by Greg's company to be more fitting with their specific documents and environment. And at the end, we've seen also how the chatbot can be a good gateway for all Greg's questions, and through a chatbot, the company can channel different answers, information, but also automate tasks such as create offers. At this point, I send it back, give the ball back to Lauren for the question and answer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation. and demonstration. I see we have some questions in the chat, so thank you. We will start with some of the questions that we received before the event started. So thank you again. Again, if you have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to just chat, but we have a few to get through, so we're going to kick it off right away. So can Google Workspace AI automations assist with workflows? For example, upon a Google form being submitted, update Google Sheet X or some other workflow without using AppScript?
So I guess this question opens a good window into the conversation of what should I use AI for. So in general, trying to oversimplifying a complex topic, if you can imagine a simple and self-contained algorithm to solve a question, then you typically don't need an AI. So you want to use AI to automate activities for which creating an algorithm is either impossible or extremely difficult to formalize. And around the AppScript component, so at the moment, the minimum of AppScript is always required to glue together all the components. So the AI, the consequent actions that you want to follow after the AI analysis on it.
Makes sense. Okay. What AI automation tools by Google can be used for online education platforms, nonprofits? On the other hand, can AI automations be applied to help improve an in-person classroom setting?
So today, we wanted to show how you can connect AI into Workspace to try to inspire possible solutions to existing problems. So some of the things we have seen today could help directly. For example, using chatbot that use conversational AI, for example, for questions and answers, or teaching the AI to recognize essays versus other forms you might receive via email, or to automate some type of activities. So it's really depends on the type of support that you're looking for. I'm not an expert of this field, being the education platform, but I'm sure many potential automations can be identified in this area.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to hop to one, just a couple from the chat now. So is the source code of the Gmail add-on available?
So it's not publicly shared, but we can share some of the code if that's of any help.
Awesome. Yep. And as a reminder, we are doing a recap post with some of the key takeaways from today. So we'll be sharing that along with the recording and some of our the written questions and answers. So we can include additional resources like that in the recap post. Okay. How much time will it take to analyze when we run in 1,000 to 5,000 emails?
So performances are always something to keep into account when an application like that is built. So in this case, what we demonstrated today is not a application to analyze in bulk a big amount of, so to analyze a data set of files that are pre-existing for the whole company, but is more meant to be a personal productivity tool. So to analyze the 100 documents, the 100 files that you have there pending since the last time you used that. If you were looking for a tool that would bulk analyze your whole set of documents, you can always use the AI because that's absolutely a very scalable component. You probably want to use not the AppScript environment, which gives a little bit of constraints in terms of execution times and performances. So the AI is very scalable. The let's say structure you want to build on top of that, if you want to scale this solution to a bulk approach, might imply different considerations on the architecture.
Good points. All right, so can this demonstration work with shared drives?
So what we've seen in the demo was something that would leverage Drive, but the concept behind that can apply to any sort of file. So the point is, anywhere AppScript can fetch a document, you can use that document toward an AI and run an analysis.
Sounds good. All right, one more from the chat, and then we'll hop back to some of our pre-submitted. Which device is the secret agent, or on which device is the secret agent toolbox available?
So in this specific case, and I want to stress that the secret agent toolbox is not a product. It's just a prototype of a possible use case that you can implement in your environment. So if you implement it as a workspace add-on, then is available everywhere that add-on is available. So this also includes mobile. So I guess that might answer your question.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think this may be kind of a follow-up to that is how to actually get started with the custom AI add-on. If you have any recommendations there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there are definitely many resources available, and at the end of the session, we are going to share some of the resources where you can find additional pieces of information about AppScript and about AI.
Awesome. Yep. And those, there are several links in the YouTube description as well if you want to take a look there to get started. Okay. So can AI automations help me create a bot for interacting with customers and providing basic answers to questions? How?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have seen a very basic version of it in our demo today. So a simple bot can be realized simply parsing the questions and trying to map them toward potential answers. A more sophisticated and robust implementation would probably see the usage of a conversational AI that is very powerful when it comes to a chatbot and is not that complicated to set up. Actually, many of these AI models that you have seen are actually way easier to implement that you might think. So I'm no AI expert. Just to be totally transparent, I simply read a little bit of documentation, and I was able to build the AI models in one afternoon. So it's definitely something that I suggest you to look into, because sometimes AI is a scary topic, because you always think I need to be a super expert or a genius to work on that. Absolutely not. So actually the AI, the new Vertex environment with Google is very, very straightforward. I would rather say is a low code / no code required to actually build an AI model. So it's fantastic.
Awesome. Yep. Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying just to finalize the answer here for this specific question, once you chose your strategy for the bot, either AI or a normal algorithm, you can extract the sort of message received, and you can automatically direct that toward an action that typically is implemented in AppScript. AppScript is a great tool to create chatbots, so it makes it extremely easy to create a chatbot. You can honestly create a chatbot in half an hour as a standard basic template, and then you can work on that and make it more rich.
Awesome. Okay. Can AI automations help me improve our workforce's mental health and knowledge retention? We want to automate employee and client communication and engagement. So yeah, definitely getting a lot of questions around different use cases or types of situations where it can be applicable.
Yeah, and that's great, because in general, these technologies and the things that you've seen today can definitely enable a lot of use cases, and many are vertical to your specific situation. So about the question, some of the things we've seen today in our demo probably provide a partial answer to the question. So definitely when you help your employees to reduce the time spent searching for an answer, or the time spent into manual repetitive activity that don't add value by themselves, you're definitely reducing the consequent risk of burnout. So we have also discussed in the previous questions about automating interactions with customers using bots. So there are many things you can do. Probably this would require dedicated sessions, but it's definitely something that you can do if you think about what are the tasks that are taking a big toll on your users' time today.
Makes sense. All right, we have a question from the chat here. Does Google Workspace AI have a solution integrated with Looker Studio?
So I'm not an expert of Looker, so I would probably need to forward the question to some of my colleagues about that. I'm not the right person to answer this.
Yeah, we can check with some of our colleagues and provide a response in that recap. So AI automatically knows what type of document it is, even if the user send an email in a wrong way. How can data privacy be maintained?
So first of all, the AI in this specific case was a model that was trained by the company to recognize specific set of documents. So in order to do that, the company needs to train the AI on this specific set of documents they receive every day. In terms of privacy, I'm okay here. Disclaimer: I'm not a lawyer, of course. So definitely there would be there are people that are better qualified than me to answer this question. But the way I see it, as my personal point of view, is that there are already many tools and add-ons that today deal with analyzing email contents every day. So every company uses anti-spams that analyzing thoroughly the content and everything written in an email and in a document coming through your mailbox. So the fact that is an AI or a normal algorithm reading your email doesn't introduce new complications in terms of privacy. At least this is my personal point of view. Again, probably a lawyer would have a more thorough answer to this question.
Makes sense. All right. Does conversational AI also support multi-language environments, mailboxes dealing with different language messages? Good question.
So yes, it does. It needs proper training. So conversational AI is actually extremely interesting and fairly easy to train. So you can train the AI with example conversations, and based on the language you're using for the training, you might have that applying to different languages.
Sounds good. All right, last one, and then we'll hop back into our slides here. Are docs or sheets better for management, and why? This might be a situational response, but any thoughts?
Yeah, that's like to ask which of your kids you love the most, right? So I guess it really depends on the situation and which sort of thing you are dealing with. I'm a big fan of sheets. I think that sheets are extremely powerful and can really do anything. I think docs have some situational advantage. If you are in the example we've seen, we're not trying to analyze data that much. We are just trying to have a place that will collect information from everywhere in my account, some files, some person, some actions, some emails. So for that specific example, a doc might be a better fit. I don't think there is an answer that would cover every sort of situation. Definitely, I would say it depends on what you're trying to manage.
Makes sense. All right, here we go back. Any best practices on how to control and fine-tune what AI does for me?
So I can read this question in different ways. If what we are asking is how do I know if I'm using an AI for the right thing, then I probably go back to my rule of thumbs. So if is there an algorithm to solve my problem that can be easily stated and designed? If the answer is yes, I probably don't need AI. If the question is more oriented toward fine-tuning the outcome of the AI, then the answer is yes. If you're using a custom model for document classification, for example, you can train it with as few as 10 documents actually per document type. So of course, there are best practices about how you can get the best accuracy. That some of them are, of course, using more documents for your classification, or sometimes add some labels that are none of the above, for example, that helps the model of AI. So there are a set of best practices that can be leveraged, and in the resources you will find a lot of content around this that can probably help.
Awesome. So I think you covered this a little bit already, but do I need coding knowledge in order to leverage AI automations with Google Workspace?
So right now, the automations in Google Workspace are typically created, again, depends by automation by automations. The specific example we covered, so the creation of an add-on that would glue together several actions and several components, does require a minimum of app script skill. The creation of the AI model, though, it's a fairly I would say no code or low code activity. So you can actually go into your GCP platform, go into the Vertex AI, and start training your models without having to write any line of code. Then, of course, to expose the model, typically those models are available through APIs. So you will need a minimum of, let's say, skills to glue all the components together.
Sounds good. And yeah, just as a reminder, that link to some of the resources we've been talking about are in the YouTube description, including one for Vertex AI. Okay, just a few more questions, I think. So if you have any others, please add them into the chat. All right, so will the OCR, optical character recognition capabilities in AppSheet be able to train and automate different document templates processing, or do we still need to call to Doc AI?
So I'm not in the AppSheet team, so I don't have any official information I can share on their roadmap. But in general, the tendency I've seen around AppSheet is to work more and more to tap into existing AI functionalities coming from GCP instead of working to replicating them. So I would expect, as a personal opinion, again, nothing official, that AppSheet will still be using GCP AI's functionalities, but it will make probably easier and codeless to interact with them and to tap into that. So some of them are already available. So for example, if I recall that correctly, you can tap into the invoice AI already through AppSheet, probably without writing any code. So we can try that out already today.
Makes sense. And we are going to just drop a link to the AppSheet release notes, where you can check that out in the community and stay up to date on any advancements. You can also ask AppSheet specific questions in those forums as well. Okay, how do you address privacy concerns when using AI, especially in Europe when, for example, a mere email for which no consent regarding data processing can be requested on websites is analyzed in such depth? I think this is somewhat related to the question that we were talking about earlier, but yeah, do you have any additional thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess that probably the previous question fairly covered this. So I would say the same thing I've said before. Again, not a lawyer, but so emails coming into your environment are already analyzed by many anti-spam. Sometimes are there in cloud. You use already a lot of add-ons to analyze the content of the email. I don't think that using an AI versus a predefined algorithm would add any additional consideration from a privacy standpoint. But again, you may wanna contact an expert around that.
Yeah, and considering regional differences, yeah, exactly. I think it's always good just to double check when it comes to privacy concerns in that case. Okay, I think this is our last one. So any recommendations on how to shorten the AI learning process? What are additional resources you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am myself a self-learner, so there are plenty of material available on the internet. If you're not familiar with the AI, I would suggest you to start from the basic concept of what AI is, because AI is a big catchy label that encompasses many things, and sometimes this creates confusion about what is AI, what is not AI. So in many cases, what we generically call AI should be more precisely labeled as machine learning. So I would say, starting from some basics about what AI is, I think, and what are the different types of AI available, you, I think, can have a better understanding, first of all, of what AI can do for you and for your organization. So with that better understanding, it's going to be easier for you to decide which path going down in terms of learning curve. So you might want to learn more about the specific type of AI instead of others, or you might simply realize that for what you need, there are already out-of-the-box AIs that can do that. So I would suggest, if you're not familiar overall with what AI is and machine learning, start from the landscape, because that will help you a lot in deciding your next step.
Great point. Okay, so I think that's a good segue into some of the resources that we have for you. So no worries on typing these all into your search bars. This information and the quick links are all in the YouTube description, so you can check those out there. But just wanted to call out this first one here at the top, which is the Google Workspace community. Perhaps this is where you found out about this event, but if you're unfamiliar, it's a great community where you can collaborate, ask questions in forums, find search answers with other workspace users and our Googlers who are making the products that you're using every day. So definitely encourage you to check that out. And that's where you can also stay up to date on future events like this. And with that in mind, there's the last link there at the bottom where we would love to hear from you. You know, did you appreciate this session? What else would you like to see? Other topics, questions, ideas? We'd love to hear from you so that we can cater our content and our experiences to what will really help you. So with that, Donato, did you have any other context or commentary on these other resources that are listed here as well?
No, I would simply say this is a good place to start to understand what's out there, and there is plenty of videos also on YouTube that you can check out. So good learning.
Awesome. Okay, well, with that, again, as we said, stay tuned. In the community, we'll be sharing a recap post with this, and you can ask any further questions that you might have there, and the team or someone from the community will be sure to respond and get back to you. But yeah, did you have any other final thoughts or closing recommendations before we close out today?
No, I wanted, first of all, to thank you, everybody, for staying with us today. And AI is definitely a super exciting topic. I'm personally a big fan of it. So my suggestion is really look into this topic, because what until a few years ago would sound like an impossible thing to automate, today, thanks to Google AI, it might be possible. So look into that. It's a great way to improve your processes.
Love it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope to see you next time. Thank you so much, Donato, for this presentation. We hope to have you back on another topic for the community. So I really appreciate it, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day, evening, or wherever you're joining us from. All right. Thanks, everyone.